Hey, is this thing on? Hey everybody, it's Ryan. Welcome back to How Farms Work. So, it's been a good few months since I have posted to my YouTube channel. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the probably the biggest reasons is because Hannah and I welcomed our first child into the family. And I've been busy spending time with him and really just kind of taking things slow. That's just one of the many reasons, really too many to count, to why I haven't been posting. What we're doing today is a little special, so I figured I'd whip out the camera and talk to you guys a little bit about what I'm doing. Now, the big reason that I'm here today is because we finally got our hands on a TMR. So there's so many reasons to want a TMR that I'm not going to be able to touch on in this video, but essentially what a TMR will do is help you feed your cattle with more consistency. It allows you to blend different mixes of feeds, and although we're not completely set up for it yet, we were offered this just for a short demo, and I'm like, well, heck, if there's no obligation, I'm not even obligated to make a video on it. It's strictly just a farm demo. But me being me, it's like, well, I gotta talk about it and show you guys. I'm excited to share this. So I have very little experience with TMRs, done a lot of research over the last year or two, and trying to see whether or not they'd be a good fit for our operation. I believe they would. We're not totally set up for them yet. So one of the things we're going to be doing is I would like to have bunk space to be able to dump into. And that's actually what that feed line was down there. Me not thinking that, it'll be a couple years before we can afford a TMR. I bought those feed bins to set up and play around with. Well, there were some storms coming and I was in a hurry to get those bins set up so that they didn't blow away. And I put them on the hog house foundation that I had taken down earlier this year. There wasn't a video on that either. And I've set them up on the cement. Well, the original intention was to be able to drive a TMR around where the bin is and be able to just dump directly into the bunk, which would work great, except I put those two bins on there and, they're serving their purpose, but I had no idea we were going to be, running a TMR this soon or testing one out. So what we're going to be doing with this is we're just going to be dumping it on the ground. Not ideal by any means. I wish, we had a bunk set up. If we had some old tires, we could use those to dump the feed into, but I'm going to just dump it into a line. I've seen guys do it. I know that people do it. It's not ideal, but for the short time that we're going to have this, it's perfectly fine. So this TMR is a Penta, and this is out thanks to Kevin Rees. He brought this demo unit over. It was at another farm. He brought it straight over from there just for us to try out. We had bought some other equipment from him, and he's like, have you ever tried one? I had talked to somebody else who had bought one from him, who told him that we were interested in it, and he didn't know it at the time that we had made videos, but now we're just testing one out. So the TMR has a scale, and the big reason you want to scale is so that you're hitting your targets for what you're trying to feed your cattle. So one of the other big things that I've been trying to do is to spend more time running the numbers on the cattle, trying to get everything straightened out. It's really complicated. Farming in general all the numbers is really hard to pin down, but I've been doing as best I can to estimate those numbers. And the closer you can get to exact numbers, the easier it is to figure out, what you should be feeding. So the scale is going to help us know exactly what we're putting out for the cattle so that we are hitting their targets. If you're blending different kinds of feeds, typically you'll talk with a nutritionist or set up your own diet for your cattle. We're not going to be getting that fancy with it today. However, in one of my feed bins down there, I have been dumping corn in for the cows. The TMR allows us to mix the corn directly in with the feed and then dump it out for the cattle. So like I said earlier, it helps with consistency, helps you get more of a even blend of the feed so that your heaviest cows aren't pushing into the feed bin every time it dumps and hogging all the corn. So I did that because that's, well, it's super cheap if you got the feed bins to do. But otherwise, I mean, if you got a TMR, heck yeah, use this thing. So instead of running the feed bin, I shut it down, and I'm going to be mixing the corn directly into the TMR. I'm going to drive down there with the skid loader and dump into the bucket and just dump it right in. And that's where the scale comes in handy, because you know exactly how much of each product you're putting in. Again, I'm going to be very straightforward. This is just going to be baleage and a little bit of corn. I'm not blending anything else in. If we were blending or using one of these and we had planned it, honestly, I would probably try to do some kind of silage and get some silage bags going, and then that'll help me be able to take scoops of silage versus bales. Another thing guys will do is they'll actually have a bale processor and they'll grind up the hay, and then they can just take scoopfuls out of it. But we're not set up for grinding anything here quite yet. Got a lot of infrastructure to deal with before we get to a point like that. But typically when you're using the TMR, they say that you can have up to 10 to 15% in hay savings. And when you're feeding a lot of cattle, that adds up really quick. There's been guys that say that, you know, just the savings in hay on even 60 head of cattle is enough to make the payment on the TMR. And if it lasts for many years, then, well, you just made your TMR payment off. So we're gonna go ahead, fire this up. I've got the hydraulics hooked up and everything. Typically when you get demos like this, you just need to go through and make sure that everything's hooked up. We had steers break into the hay part of the pole shed when he was dropping this off, so unfortunately he wasn't able to set it up for me. But one of the things I had to do was lower the hitch, actually raise the hitch up, because the 76's drawbar is flipped upside down, so it's very high. It had a very low clearance to the PTO, so just to protect the PTO I moved it up. That helped it get more level too. One of the things you want to do is make sure that you're running it as level as you can so that you aren't spilling over the side. So I'm kind of interested to see how many bales this will hold. I was told in the past that typically one bale per screw. This is a 45-40, and it has one single very large screw in it. Let's hop up and actually show you that right now. So here's the conveyor. It's got a door on the front. For those of you that aren't familiar like me with TMRs, it's got the door on the front. When you raise it, that's when it starts dumping the feed out. So here's the single screw. It's actually much larger than it looks like in the camera, believe it or not. When I got up here and looked at this thing, I was kind of surprised at how large it is. So it's got those blades. What we're trying to do is we're trying to cut the material up to get it down, be shorter, so that the cows aren't picking through it. It reduces how much they reject, and helps them, really utilizes all the feed that's there. So it's got those notches on the side. That's to help catch the feed so it's just not stuck in here spinning. We're going to load it up with the baleage first, see how much it fluffs up. I should have a couple bales that are roughly 50% down there we're going to drop in. So granted, this is going to be a long video, but it's been a hot minute. So let's go ahead, crank this up, get her turning, and go get us some bales. goes about 7 minutes. You can probably hear the 7600 grunting, well, just a little bit. We're running at about 1800 RPM, and it took 7 or 8 minutes for it to blend the bale up completely. So when you drop the bale in, it fluffs up, and it threw a little bit over the sides, but we haven't lost much in the way of poundage since dropping the bale in. I mean, there was a little that went over the top at the beginning, so, but again, it's not very much at all. About 2160 weight of the bale. That bale should have been about 50% moisture, but it's just over 1,050 pounds, 1,070, 80 pounds. About what I expected, honestly, because the Bobcat really can't pick them up when pointed downhill. thankfully we didn't. The 76 was able to pull us through. But the snow built up in front of that back tire I saw when I was looking at the footage, and it wasn't turning, which isn't great. But that's why you want to get set up so that you wouldn't have to feed like this. I have a plan for this lot. Right now it looks like there's going to be, what the plan would be is there'd be a lot straight down the middle, and there'd be feed lanes on each side, and then there'd be a place to turn around on the ends and come back up. And then I would split each side into probably at least 2 lots, but that requires getting water down here somewhere, and to run it that far, it's gonna be a pretty penny. I just finished mixing feed, and I'm pretty happy with the job that it did. Grinding up the feed is definitely ideal to get those shorter lengths so the cows reject less. But overall, I mean, the quality of the feed, seeing it ground up, very happy with it. It only took 7 minutes to grind that first bale that I dropped in, and I would say that was pretty quick. But otherwise, I just want to send out a thank you to Kevin Reese for sending this over. If we had one of these here full time, I would definitely want to get some corn silage ground up so that we would have something to top it off with and to throw into the mix for pretty much everybody. I really think that would really help with the cows' diets. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. So I just want to say thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you next time.